This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings had the day off yesterday, but now they're back in action tonight at home as they welcome in the Oklahoma City Thunder. Our coverage on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 5:30. Then Kings Live is at 6:30. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. Pro Bowl rosters were announced yesterday. There won't be any Raiders playing in Orlando, but the 49ers will send fullback Kyle Juszczyk, who's making his third appearance, and tight end George Kittle will make his first. Defensive lineman DeForest Buckner, kicker Robbie Gould, and special teamer Mark Nzacha were all selected as alternates. At 6:59, Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
We got Scott Bear coming up at 8:05, Raider fan. 4-down territory in about 15 minutes, bottom of the hour. We'll talk Sacramento Kings. From the 916, did Kyle Madsen go through puberty? Sounds really different today. That's from longtime listener Melanie. Yeah, Kyle's a little bit more husky sounding today. Kyle's fighting through a sickness, if you will. So, hey, thoughts and prayers with the entire Madsen family as Kyle tries to make it through this difficult time. We appreciate him coming in. Tom Brady has tied an NFL record with his 14th Pro Bowl selection. Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Philip Lindsay have all earned their first selections. Philip Lindsay's a great story. He's from Denver, was, I believe, a walk-on at Colorado, then played at Colorado, was not drafted, then was signed by the Broncos, and now he's a Pro Bowler in his first year. That's a pretty good story. Phillip Rivers, Mike Pouncey, Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, Melvin Ingram, Adrian Phillips, and let me get this pronunciation right. Dearwin James. Dearwin James of the LA Chargers. Derwin James is a Pro Bowler in his rookie year, and I did not see that coming. Neither did you, Kyle Madsen.
Yeah, we definitely didn't talk about how the 49ers should draft him if he fell to number 9.
I don't like saying that because Mike McGlinchey has been phenomenal.
So that's the whole thing. I would be way more salty about the Derwin James thing if Mike McGlinchey wasn't arguably the best rookie offensive lineman. He's been sensational, and it takes away the sting of not taking Derwin James.
Would you trade Derwin James for Mike McGlinchey right now, straight up?
No, I don't think so, because finding effective right tackles is really tough.
James Conner was named to the Pro Bowl. That's a great story. You probably know James Conner was diagnosed with cancer not that long ago. And Kyle, you're probably familiar with this story, but this really was really awesome.
This hits you square in the, as the youths say, square in the feels.
When Conner was diagnosed with cancer, he received a message 3 years ago. I'll read the message verbatim. What's up, bro? I just heard. Just wanted to let you know I'm praying for you. Everybody goes through adversity, some tougher than others, but I already know you're going to bounce back stronger and better than ever. I just can't wait to see it. I'm going to be the first to tune in, and you're going to look back at this one day after about 7 Pro Bowls and a couple of All-Pro years and see everything that's happened to you is just going to make you stronger. It's just going to make your story that much better. And you already know if you need anything, just hit me up and let me know. Keep your head up no matter what and stay strong. God's got your back. That was 3 years ago. That was a message James Conner got from Aaron Donald. That's awesome. And honestly, as we tie a ribbon or get ready to tie a bow on this NFL season, and yeah, we still have 2 more weeks plus the playoffs, I'm not entirely sure James Conner's not the best story of this NFL season.
Yeah, he's got to be close.
I'm sure there's other nominees. I think Los Angeles Chargers as a team are a phenomenal story, but it's going to be very difficult to beat a guy who had cancer, who was the backup fill-in for Le'Veon Bell, and proceeded to have a Pro Bowl season, a true bona fide Pro Bowl season in his very first year starting as a running back in the NFL.
Yeah, he's a third-round pick. And when he got drafted, it was a big deal. It's like, hey, this kid survived cancer, and now he's a third-round pick in the NFL draft. He's going to a team that has Le'Veon Bell, but that's fine. And then he comes out and in his first real action produces, as you said, like a bona fide Pro Bowl player. And that's really freaking cool.
It's going to be a very big story in the offseason where Le'Veon Bell is going to end up. Mm-hmm. But Pittsburgh's going to be just fine. In fact, Pittsburgh might end up being better when you consider the money they will have to spend on somebody else. Pro Bowl snubs, Kyle, real quick. Leighton Vander Esch of the Dallas Cowboys did not make the Pro Bowl. How about Alvin Kamara? Second only to Todd Gurley in rushing touchdowns. It's just... Unfortunately for Alvin Kamara and the next snub, Christian McCaffrey, that's just a situation where you are so stacked at running back in the NFC. I don't know. I don't know who you boot. Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, it's really tough in the NFC. It's like point guard in the West.
I think if Mark Ingram had been injured or didn't exist, I think Alvin Kamara would have been a shoo-in. I mean, Alvin Kamara really, you could argue, having as amazing or more of an amazing year than anyone else when you consider the fact that ever since, game 3 of the season, he's been splitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
A guy I mentioned earlier, Colts rookie linebacker Darius Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
He's played in 13 games. He missed 1 game. He's leading the league in tackles with 146. He has 12 tackles for loss. His 7 sacks are the most among inside linebackers. He has an interception. His 6 pass breakups are tied for 3rd among inside linebackers. And his 4 forced fumbles lead all inside linebackers.
That's insane.
And he's not a Pro Bowler.
And he got snubbed. C.J. Mosley, Bernardrick McKinney, inside linebackers, outside linebackers for the AFC, Von Miller, Jadeveon Clowney, and D. Ford. Mike Evans of the Buccaneers, 74 catches, 1,328 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he's playing on a crap team. I don't know. That's borderline to me.
So that's where a lot of Niners writers were pretty up in arms about DeForest Buckner not making it. But you have Fletcher Cox made it ahead of him. Mm-hmm. The Eagles have 8 wins now?
Yes.
They 8 and 6 or 7 and 7?
7 and 7, I think.
7 and 7 sounds right. Yeah, so they're 7 and 7, and they're coming off a Super Bowl. Akeem Hicks of the Bears, they have the best defense in the league. Like DeForest Buckner just plays on a bad team.
Yeah.
And when it's close statistically, that's going to take precedence.
Drew Brees starting at quarterback with Gurley, Barkley, and Elliott, Jones, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, and Devontae Adams.
That sounds right.
Zach Ertz, George Kittle. Your linebacker. Cam Jordan, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Danielle Hunter at end. Aaron Donald, Fletcher Cox, Akeem Hicks. What'd I say, Danielle?
Yeah.
Dude, you know I always do that, and who's the guy that messes me up? He was also a Bear, and it's the same.
Danielle Hunter plays for the Vikings.
No. It was a Bear, and he had an androgynous name with a different spelling. I'm forgetting it. He was a Bear for years, and he had a name, and I don't know why, but I always say Daniel because I always screw. It wasn't an androgynous name. I'm sorry. The two names I have trouble with, well, I have trouble with a lot of names, Danielle Hunter, and the other one I always screwed up was Danny Trevathan, which has nothing to do with I always wanted to say like Danny Trevathan. I had it in my head like that and couldn't get the Trevathan right, which is a far different pronunciation issue from David and Derek Carr.
Sure.
Where I'm just screwing it up. There's just a handful of guys, and Hunter's one of them, where
sure.
I will forever screw it up. Thank you. Khalil Mack, Ryan Kerrigan, Anthony Barr, Luke Kuechly, and Bobby Wagner. I'm just trying to, as I go down this list out loud. Oh, and by the way, Terry Cohen as your return specialist, which was a nice way to sneak him on the team because he's incredibly talented. That just makes me wonder. I like looking at the Pro Bowl teams and wondering, like, if they played full strength, who would win in, like, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, of course.
Like, the real Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
James Conner, Melvin Gordon. I feel like the NFC would win, though.
I think they would. The NFC is pretty loaded.
Connor Gordon, Phillip Lindsay at running back versus Gurley, Barkley, and Elliott.
I'm just looking at their pass rush.
Yeah, dude.
Khalil Mack and Danielle Hunter. That's nasty. Aaron Donald's in there. Oh. Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack on the same line. Are you kidding me?
Although that you know what, though, that AFC secondary, though, doesn't suck at all. Jalen Ramsey not. Oh, no, Jalen Ramsey did make it. Okay, I thought I missed him. That's interesting. Jalen Ramsey at cornerback, Derwin James at free safety. Couple of really good players with a good foundational background. Yeah, Von Miller. I like seeing Jadeveon Clowney there. I remember when Jadeveon Clowney was drafted by the Texans, and many thought he was a bust because he was so injury prone, and he's really rounded into an excellent player.
He's just a really, really like high quality player. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he's just you have to account for him.
Yes.
He's going to get after the quarterback. He's good against the run.
And look at Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett comes out. He's everything he's been advertised to be. You feel like Myles Garrett, barring injury, is going to be a Pro Bowler for like the next 8 years.
Yeah, he's just going to be there.
Other snubs real quick as we round out the list. Chandler Jones, again, bad team. T.Y. Hilton. We talked about Kamara and McCaffrey getting screwed. This guy really didn't get screwed, but
Andrew Luck kind of got screwed.
He did. How about 220 rushes for 923 yards and 7 touchdowns? I think something like 1,300 yards from scrimmage and 4.2 yards per carry at 33 years old for Adrian Peterson.
Oof.
Yeah. There are several other years he would have been a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. I think hitting his kid with a stick.
I don't think even if stick had not happened, I don't think Peterson makes. Who's Peters? If McCaffrey
that's fair.
and Kamara
That's
aren't
fair.
making it.
That's fair. But also the beating his kid with a stick thing.
That didn't.
That's bad.
That didn't help him. Still should have drafted Derwin James, though. We'll take a break. When we return, 4 down. One of these days, Kyle, the things you say to me off the air are going to come on the air, and we're all going to have answering to do. 4 down territory coming up next. I got questions for Niner fans, Raider fans. Who was your biggest Pro Bowl snub? And the Patriots. Are we seeing the last of the run? Scheduled question every single year, but I think it's appropriate this year. The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK. Four down territory. Excuse me.
4 down territory.
4 down territory. Brought to you by Fire Wings.
Fire Wings.
21 different flavors to choose from. Fire Wings. I'm sorry, go ahead.
21.
Firewings.com.
.com.
Just wing it. I would love that job someday. I don't have the pipes for it, but God, wouldn't that be great to narrate NFL films stuff? Oh, it'd be so fun. Just be awesome.
Let's talk off air.
Yes, let's. Did somebody during the break, did one of our CBS Sports minutes or whatever play, did somebody say that the current Bears defense is the best Bears defense since the Monsters of the Midway?
Yeah.
What year was the Monsters of the Midway?
85. Wasn't that, is that not right? Is Monsters of the Midway before that?
I thought it was before that. I mean, we're both.
I always assumed I was the 85 Bears.
Monsters of the Midway was renewed by the defense of 1985, but was originally the 40-41 Bears. So that's going to highly depend on. I'm assuming.
I think they meant the 85.
The 85,
Bears.
and I would say that's correct. But the question somebody was posing on the text line is, Dave, do you think the Monsters of the Midway were better than the 85? The 85 Bears is the best defense ever. With maybe, this is going to piss a lot of people off, but that Ravens defense with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis is almost underrated for how good they were.
And the early 2010s Seahawks were also
great.
Outstanding.
Gruden's Buccaneers were also, that was another defense that was tremendous. But, dude, I think the 85 Bears.
Kyle Brandt is one of the NFL Network guys, had this really great rant about shut up about the 85 Bears.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because, like, every time the Bears are good, it all goes back to the 85 Bears.
That's true.
And he's like, that was 33 years ago. Like, let's.
On that, I agree.
Like, let's talk about this team.
I completely agree. And whenever the Bears are good, like right now,
any modicum of success, it's like, oh, but the 85 Bears.
We talk about
shut up.
We talk about like Cowboy fan, Dodger fan, Laker fan, to a point Raider fan, like some of those fans. The Bears are a low-key, obnoxious fan base, but they only come out when they're good. And then when they're good, Bear fan comes out of the woodwork, just bearing all over the place.
It's like they're in hibernation.
Right.
Like a bear. First down. As a Niner fan, would you want them to win out?
Damn it, I just deleted my bear. Like last week, I deleted my bear drop.
Running with the football?
Running with the football, a bear.
You deleted that?
When was the last time I played it? I had to make room. I had to make room for.
We're running out of time on this segment.
Oh, okay.
Jump, jump, jump.
All right, first down. We got to go quick now.
You really like that bear sound, huh?
There's a bear sound. Roar. What's the first down question again? As a Niner fan, do I want to see him win out?
Yeah.
This is weird, man. I'm so up in the air because, especially in football, as a former tank commander, it's not like basketball where there's a lottery. It is a direct corollary between where you pick and where you finish.
Mm-hmm.
But the 49ers finished against the Bears and the Rams.
Both playing for playoff seedings.
If the 49ers were to beat the Bears and the Rams after beating the Seahawks and then, the Broncos before it even, but still.
The Broncos playing for a playoff spot.
That means they finish on a 4-game win streak against 3 of the top teams in the NFL, plus the Broncos, who, as you said, were playing for a playoff. It's much like last year when Garoppolo came in and they finished on that streak. In this case, I would probably be okay with it because of the momentum it gives you going into the offseason. But in this case, you didn't have Garoppolo.
Right. And last year, when you look at the schedule they played, the Bears were not good. They played a bad Texans team. They beat a Rams team that wasn't playing anybody. Their best win was against the Jaguars, who they hung 44 points on.
Yeah.
But other than that, they didn't, it was just a bunch of kind of just teams. If they, with the group they have on the field right now, find a way to beat the Bears and Rams with both of those teams trying to win, that's a big deal. That being said, if they lose these 2 games, they're not going to be super broken up.
No, yeah, exactly. I think they'll be fine. From the 916, how do you guys forget about the 86 Giants? Sincerely, Nant Grapier, whoever that is. Second down.
Second down.
Will this be the last game for the Raiders at the Coliseum?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Third down.
Third down.
This being
Right. The Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Who was your biggest Pro Bowl snub?
Christian McCaffrey. And I understand it. But Christian McCaffrey has been insane this year. I would have put him in over Ezekiel Elliott, to be honest with you, and that's no snub at Ezekiel. I just think he is the better all-around player this year.
Sure.
Cowboys are a better team.
I've got Leonard. Based on the stats I read earlier, and dropping him in the middle of that defense has really turned that Colts defense around.
I completely agree. I have no problems with that either. Fourth down.
Fourth down. Fourth down.
Is this the final year of the Patriots' run?
I think this is the final year of the Patriots as we know it, and I know that is one of the most dangerous takes in all of football, but Father Time is undefeated. Tom Brady is a Pro Bowler, and there's really no reason to think he's going to slow down other than he's getting older. But Tom Brady, to me, and I've watched a number of Patriots games this year, is just a little bit different this year.
Looks a little more mortal than normal.
Little more mortal, and that might be offensive line. That might be his receiver. I think Rob Gronkowski's probably done this year.
Gronk is not good anymore.
He just looks terrible. And they don't have...
He's not good. He's not as he
He's
was.
not Gronky.
Right.
And they just don't have that core anymore of guys. And I think once Brady goes, Brady goes. I'm not saying Brady's retiring at the end of the year. Probably isn't. But I think this is the last year. I don't think we're going in next year thinking, oh, man, until the Patriots are dead, I'm not counting against them. I think this is the last year where it's going to be very difficult for us to say they won't make it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with everything you said.
They'll probably win the title this year and next year. Now.
Yeah.
Next 4 years.
They were dead. Just don't breathe on it. Don't touch it. We did both, and here they are.
Get your phone calls in right now at 1-800-920-1140, 339-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. We're going to get into Kings, Oklahoma City tonight. I want to look at Oklahoma City's record. I don't think they're as good as advertised, and I want to talk about 1999. Usually we talk about it, and we piss and moan about how that the championship got robbed from us in 2002. I want to take a different tack for the first time in a long time since this team is good. I just want to ask you if you see any similarities for you old heads out here between then and now. Kyle doesn't, but Kyle was 4 years old, so he doesn't count. It's The Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK. But yeah, Kyle, let's do everything you want to do. I want to remind everybody, Scott Barrow will be joining us at 8:05 on the Fire Wings hotline. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com. Just wing it.
Was that a sneaky Ace Ventura 2 reference?
A little bit. Well done. Well picked up. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's do everything you want to do.
I'm always very excited and happy when people pick up references. Yesterday, I was going back and forth with a Kings fan that was still upset about Dave Yeager pulling the starters. And he was like, you got to want it, man. For miss the playoffs, you got to want it. And I just responded to him in all caps, and I've had this in my brain for 20 years. Yeah, man, Kings got to want it. We got to snack on danger and dine on death, which is a line from like a wrestling video game, a stand-up arcade game back in like 87. And some dude on Twitter's like, hey, man, he posts a picture of the game. It's like that is one of the 4, maybe 5 good things left about social media is when like minds pick up the most obscure references. And yesterday I posted a YouTube video. I got to find the name of the guy that put this up that I'd never seen before. It was called like Sacramento Kings basketball the way it ought to be. And it was it was like 99.
Can I make a joke real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be redone today and named Sacramento Kings basketball? We have the meats.
I'm sorry. It was Sacramento Kings NBA the right way. That's what it was.
Oh.
But
I thought we were just doing fast food slogans.
Western that song's in my head constantly. They play during there's a free spot for them.
Pick it up, boom, boom, boom.
There were several quotes in there. They would show highlights, and then it would go to a black screen with a white lettered quote. And my favorite, if you wanted to take someone to a game that would get him hooked on the NBA, the first place you'd take him is Sacramento. And that was from former King Byron Scott, who was then the head coach of the New Jersey Nets in 2001. And I believe the Nets went to the finals that year. we're way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game to start thinking about that. But I did get to reminiscing. There's, as you say, micro and macro outlooks on this team. And as we look at the present, Kings are 16-14. They are, again, when I say probably, I'm just simply saying what the general understanding is. This team will likely not make the playoffs this year.
Sure.
But all of a sudden, the optimists were saying 35. I think 30 to 35 wins. I think you had, on the pessimistic side, you had 20 wins. That was the low end. 25 was the general consensus.
That's about what I had.
30 to 35 was the optimistic LOL okay side. And then you had like 4 people that were like 40, and you're like, I can't keep smoking.
And then you had 67, which was Matt George.
Right. So I think the goalposts have moved. But the question I have for Kings fans now, 30 games into the season, let's make sure we put this out there. This isn't the beginning of the year anymore. You're over a third of the way through the NBA season. Think about that. You're over a third of the way through the NBA season. And the Sacramento Kings right now are tied for the 7th seed. They are 2 games above 500. They are above 500 both on the road and at home. And they have played a top 10. In fact, I haven't checked it lately. I'll check it right now. But they have played one of the more difficult schedules in the entire National Basketball Association. I say National Basketball Association because I'm vamping while my computer gets me to strength of schedule. Thank you.
And I think that's why when you just mentioned they're over 500 at home and on the road, if you can play 500 ball on the road, you should make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Assuming you hold home court and win a little over half your home games.
Yeah.
That puts you at 44, 45, 46 wins.
Yep.
That should get you in the playoffs. If they can play 500 on the road the rest of the way, I
remember what you just said. I want to get to that.
Oof,
I want to get to that in a couple seconds because that's part of what I want to talk. I want to come back to what you said. The Kings have played the 9th toughest schedule in the NBA, but here's the key. The average record of their opponents are playing at a 5-11 clip. But the number 4 team, the number 4 toughest schedule in the NBA belongs to Memphis, and they are in a 4-way tie at a 5-15 clip. After the Kings play tonight versus Oklahoma City being 19-10, the Kings will likely have had they will jump from 9 to probably 4th.
Sure.
Because then you go to 523, 525, and then Utah's played the toughest schedule at 534. Then you will jump to 4th, the 4th toughest schedule in the league, whether they win or lose. And you're right about what you said, Kyle. That's always been the mantra in the NBA is if you can go 500 on the road, you're probably going to be somewhere around a 45-50 win team at the very least. I don't know if that applies to the Kings, and that's what's really weird about this season. We're so early in the throes of the Kings being a competitive team.
I guess you can't technically go 500 on the road and at home because you play an odd number of games.
But
you can win 20 or 21 road games.
The point stands.
Okay. I just didn't want.
They're 9-8 on the road. They're 7-6 at home. In years past, which is what all us old heads have with the Kings, because it's been so long since they were competitive, even in their bad years, the Kings were generally above 500 at home.
Yeah.
And in their good years, the Kings were almost unbeatable at home.
Right.
Boston, I believe, has the record at 40-1 back in the 80s for home record, but the Kings would routinely have mid to high single-digit losses per year at home each and every year during their run.
Right.
Arco Arena was thought to be the most difficult place perhaps in the entire NBA for about a good 10, 15-year solid piece. That was the number one answer. What's the most difficult place to play in the NBA? Arco Arena. You had the wood paneling that people stomped on. You had the cavernous noise pollution that would come in from the stomping and cheering and the cowbells. The fans were absolute uncivilized, backwards cowtowners who would just come in and scream their faces off. And this is not as a full-fledged member of Sacramento Kings fandom. This is 1 billion% me not taking a shot at fans. We've talked about arrivals and late and this and that. I truly wonder if it's possible for us to recapture that home court advantage we enjoyed at Arco Arena. And let me be clear. I think that Golden One Center in the end is a blessing. It saved the team. It's beautiful. It's everything we wanted. But I also think it might be a little bit of a curse. I don't know. That's not to say that it won't be loud. I was there Friday night. People were crazy. But Arco Arena was literally in the middle of farmland. You would drive to Arco, massive sprawling parking lot. People would be outside tailgating, getting hammered hours before the game, barbecuing, doing whatever, but mainly getting hammered before the game. I know a couple of groups that are on the internet right now that have their own little clubs that are based off of their tailgating groups where they'd be pounding Fireball and God knows what else, and then they'd roll into the game. You get these fans that would roll in the first quarter already lit, and not just powered by alcohol, but you also had the fact that you had to go way down the street to get to In-N-Out and On the Border and everything
Right.
by that Walmart. And then when you got into Arco Arena proper, you had concession stands is what you had. You might have a couple of little pop-up areas. I think there was like a Jim Boys and a couple others. But you had concession stands. You had King Dogs and popcorn and sodas and beer. And you had a bunch of them. Lines were bad, but they weren't horrible. And you had the Kings team store. Golden One Center is downtown in the middle of it all, and it's surrounded by gorgeous restaurants, clubs, all kinds of things to do. What?
There's somebody doing some work on the ceiling behind you.
Oh, my God.
And he's on like a cherry picker, and all of a sudden I just saw this gentleman just kind of rise up into the window behind you.
Oh, wow. You're absolutely right. There is a guy on what it is called a cherry picker, but it's a ramp that's up because we're on the second floor of this building, and we have a window behind me. If you're watching on the broadcast at KH2K.com, you can see the window behind me, and there's a guy who's working on something in the ceiling. Okay, that's terrible of you, Kyle. You gave me the like you wanted me to review the play in the NBA, the finger circle.
It was just the top of this guy's head started rising into my view.
Good work, Eunice. Look at Eunice with the live look in, manually moving the cameras, getting a close up. Meanwhile,
a champion.
The 98% of everybody just listening right now is completely pissed at us because we were building and I'm
sorry.
It's
my fault.
Lost focus. What are we talking about? Oh, Arco Arena.
Right, and Golden One is downtown.
Golden One is downtown, is surrounded by a ton of stuff. You have restaurants throughout. That place was built to entertain beyond. That place was built to entertain beyond the game itself. It was a destination, a place where people might want to hang out when there wasn't a game. That was the idea. And we all bought into it hook, line, and sinker because it's gorgeous. And it was reinvestment in downtown. I mean, I'm one of the guys that led the freaking charge for the whole thing. I was, and I'm not ripping Golden One.
No, I get what you're saying though. There was and I don't mean this as a slight. I don't have quite a better way to. Arco Arena had the feel of this high school gym.
Yes.
And it was like, this is, it's the same way kind of A's fans feel about the Coliseum.
Sure.
It's like, yeah, this is kind of a dump, but it's our dump.
It's our dump. It
and
belongs
this is
to us.
right. And Golden One Center will feel like that eventually. But we talked about this the other day, and it's the same sensation I think at Levi Stadium is there just hasn't been a moment there yet. There hasn't been a reason for people to go. There hasn't been a historic thing that's happened there yet.
That's what I wonder.
Like there just needs to grow organically into the new traditions, the new.
If I owned the team, if I owned the Sacramento Kings, I would probably not do any of what I'm about to say because I'd be looking at the ledger. But from a fan's point of view, if I owned the team, I would shut down all restaurants. I would shut everything down or find a way to minimize it 5 to 10 minutes before gameplay in the first quarter, gameplay in the third quarter. I would probably do something where I would make up for it in wait staff and find a way to get people food in their seats. I know there's already some of that, but I'd like to see a situation where people just order everything off the app and they don't stand in any lines.
Sure.
And you just get it delivered to you. You can't do anything about going to the bathrooms. And I don't know. I don't think the acoustics are the same at Golden One as they were at Arco either. But in a perfect world also, and this would never happen, you can't just blame the arena. You also have to blame the times. In a perfect world, again, I know this won't happen, but in a perfect world, phones would disconnect once you walk through those doors. I understand that's silly and you could never do it, but you have to acknowledge that is also a thing.
I think a lot, but there are still rowdy, insane arenas in the NBA, and they don't do any of the things you're talking about.
What's the rowdiest, most insane arena in the NBA, in your opinion, right now? Or one of them off the top of your head?
Oracle.
Look at that exactly, and look at that arena. What they have in technology, because obviously people have cell phones in Oakland. What they have to deal with there, that is an old school barn arena type place, very much like Arco was. Oracle, you could argue, is the crappiest stadium in all the NBA right now.
Sure.
But it's the same thing you said about Arco. Once they moved to, the Chase Center?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be that way. Almost certainly will not be that way.
It will if the team's still good.
Maybe.
No, it will. It will. I'm
because
telling you it
also
will.
part of the problem there too, and I don't know if that's transferred over here at all yet, but part of the problem there too, and I've heard Warrior fans complain about this, is that you've had the rowdiest of rowdy fans completely priced out from the lower bowl.
Sure.
They're in the upper bowl now, if they're in there at all. I mean, you're talking about a franchise that's selling standing room only season tickets.
Right.
And I think to an extent, some of that has happened at Golden One Center because prices have had to go up. They're still some of the best prices. Well, they're right around the middle of the NBA, but it used to be it was the best deal in the NBA.
Right.
And the question that I was talking to somebody about this the other night. Can the atmosphere at Golden One, will it ever be able to match the atmosphere at Arco? And if it can't, because of times, arena, whatever it is, if it can't, how close can it get?
I think it can, but on a different level. I don't think it'll ever be the homey type of like us against the world. Like, because that's kind of Arco Arena was kind of a representation of the Kings, right?
It was a college gym.
Right. And that was, so people kind of look down on Sacramento. It's Sacramento against everybody. And this is our gym. You're going to have to come into our fortress.
Correct.
And it's going to be the most hostile atmosphere. You don't get that with Golden One Center anymore because it's arguably the best arena in the NBA. But like I said, when the team is good and when they have moments and playoff games there, you're going to get people showing out. You're going to get people in their seats.
Oh, sure.
From tip-off until the end of the game.
Sure.
Eventually all those things that you're trying to, that you were talking about, you don't get to use cell phone and you get wait staff to bring stuff. That's not going to matter. Like, you're not going to need any of that. You're not going to have to force people into their seats. People are going to want to just go because this team is a title contender.
But do you think there are going to be some built-in issues that cannot be overcome, such as parking downtown, not having a communal gathering spot or a tailgating area? I would love to see the Kings. I think this would be awesome. I would love to see the Kings buy that property across the street right by Molten Mash and all that, where they had the ice rink right now. Mm-hmm. I would love to see them purchase that and make that like Sacramento. Make it like Mitch Richmond Park, something like that. I would love to see them purchase that and turn that into a designated tailgating area. Like spruce it up a little bit, maybe put some barbecues in there, have an area where you have security, you have people that are welcome to imbibe, to eat, to do what they want, and then just walk right across the street and have that be an arrival zone for people. You have the bars all over the place, and I understand that, and if I had somebody from the Kings on with me right now, they'd say, Dave, we do have tailgating areas. It's at Malt and Mash. It's at Sauced. It's at Punch Bowl Social.
Right. People don't want to go to those places, though. It's not the traditional.
That's not the traditional tailgate.
Right.
People want to barbecue their own chicken leg and drink their own crappy beer. And again, I know we have people coming in and out. I want to get off this subject real quick. I know we have people coming in and out on the radio show. I started this way, and I want to end it this way. I have to be so careful with out of context. This is not a shot in any way, shape, or form at fans, at all. This is me wondering aloud to my fellow Kings fans, can the atmosphere, because of all the geographical and accoutrements at the new arena, how close can we get to matching that atmosphere that we had at Arco? And Kyle brings up a great point. It will certainly go to a different level if this team gets in the playoffs and has signature moments. But on a scale of Arco Arena to Levi Stadium, I'm just wondering where that will fall on that scale.
That us against the world thing has not left Sacramento, and it never
That's true.
will. And when this team goes to the playoffs, whether it's this year or next year or the year after, the Kings fan base, the one that is on the text line yelling about Dave Yeager's decision to only play the starters 6 minutes in a mid-December game on the back end of a road back-to-back, and the people who call in and yell about Vlade are all going to be there and screaming their faces off for the Kings.
Yes.
And whether that happens in the middle of downtown or at a high school gym, in the middle of nowhere, Kings fans are going to go insane, and it's going to be a very, very difficult place for opposing teams to play.
We'll finish it like this. One thing we haven't brought up, which I think is a great point from the 916. Dave, do you think people aren't showing up like they did as much because people living in the suburbs have a weird fear of urban downtown areas? Yes, I think there's something there, and I don't know if it's a fear or what. I think there are a lot of people born and raised in the suburbs like me in good old Carmichael, California. I think there's a lot.
You're from Carmichael?
I am, as a matter of fact. I think there's a lot of people like me that get very frustrated downtown because we're fish out of water. I don't know where to park. I don't know where to stop. The traffic, the turning left, the one ways, all this crap. I park and then I walk straight into the arena. Whereas as Natomas had that, well, it was a suburb. It had that suburban feel, which is why I'd like to see in the next few years, and that's why I bring up the text line. I'd really like to see regional transit and the Kings partner more, and I'd like to see purple cars get rolled out. I would like to see Sacramento King specific cars with specific routes. I would like to see those get advertised more and more and more. I would like to see Kings fan-only cars on regional transit. Why not? Even if it was just a couple where you'd have a meeting area, you had to show a ticket to the game to get on, and then you had, how hard would this be? Paint the damn cars purple. Put pictures of Kings on there, past and present. Name the cars, the Weber car, the Bibby car, the Peja car, the De'Aaron car, whatever it is. Pipe in Kings highlights from old over the speakers in the car. Make it a festive environment. And then, again, RT and the Kings could combine and do an educational campaign where they're running commercials during the games and on this station all over the place saying, hey, Carmichael, Fair Oaks, Orangevale, Folsom, El Dorado Hills, here's where you go. Here's the special app for your specific Kings-related cars. Don't worry about Uber. Don't worry about all of that. You won't see that because there's a lot of money involved in the parking around the arena.
And proving my point about Kings fans showing out when called upon, we started talking about this. We hadn't had a call all day. We started talking about this, and the phone lines, all of them lit up.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't even look at the phone lines. Oh, boy. All right, I want to get to these guys when we get back. We've got Scott Bear coming on too, so we're going to do let's break right now. I want to get to our phone calls, and then we'll get to Scott right here on The Drive. Sports 1140 KHTK.